And I have to notice, as I am absolutely not informed what's going on around me, I'm being left in a limbo while I'm doing this level of political analysis. I would also ask like to ask the planet what is the percentage of planetary population, including the one that are playing the political top, how many of them, that is in percentages expressed, out of global political leadership, would see the way how the planet continue to construct around my work, how far they are going to assess this as a acceptable political standard. I would really like to hear what the present political top on the planet, how they would judge the present this overall political construct. That they refuse to give me assistance of any kind. Random blunt oligarchs are getting various appointments with the most fundamental resources of the nations, which is matter of entire historic heritage of the planet. Random people are positioned as the highest ranking on the planet. And I am being driven to the very bottom of the planet, kept in isolation, not given real information, constantly being fed with some kind of scary alternative translations of reality. I'm being thrown in a hell. And some other people out there, mostly from the edges of planetary sensitivity, are building the heaven. From the edges of planetary sensitivity, building heaven. And I am being thrown in the hell. Now, what is the percentage of planetary population that would accept this as a correct planetary answer? Somewhere here I have to question the way how nations are built, have been built recently, versus how they have been built traditionally. Building nations is a profession. It is not like planting potatoes, a capsicum, tomatoes, and grain salad, and the rest. Building nation of humans, implements, call for different kind of thinking. And certain nations and certain people of such nations would have that embodied in their genetic code. I declare myself of central ancient plateau, not on any of the peripheries. Any kind of similarity would be due to prime continent, earlier some Iron Age, where entire planetary population everywhere on the planet looked similar. Earlier population that looks more like Indians of North Dakota, similarly, you will find such people equally all the way to over Mongolia, all the way to Japan and China. You would find such people even among Philippines, or even in entire South Asia. You would find such people in India as well. You will find them everywhere. You would find them, of course, all over Central Plateau as well. We would be talking about ancient population living on this earth at earlier times. It is equally pointless to appropriate assets or people born and that have been educated, have been created, which is a matter of investment. On ancient plateau, to claim them as of your cultural setting, because that would be a lie. You don't have such cultural setting to profile people like that. And people cannot fall to various territories as from the sky, as some kind of meteor from the sky, as usually then that is how you end up talking about these people. I mean, I remember at the time where we came here in New Zealand, it was exactly the time when some kind of a meteor that is orbiting around Earth every 70 years was just passing by New Zealand by Earth at that point of time. And that was exactly the time where we have been invited in New Zealand. Well, here the message was clear. There is some kind of meteor from somewhere falling to New Zealand. That is not how you create nation, and certainly is not how you in some kind of enforcement, international enforcement, manage or rather destroy other nations somewhere from the central plateau. And I wouldn't say that a planet would ever be intelligent enough if continue to destroy its central historic heritage in order to build the peripheries. And then everything get lost in translation, totally not understood, certainly not employed in the way how it should be, and lost somewhere without having some kind of larger echo as how it would be if it was left to be in the central plateau when then whatever you do there starts affecting the entire planet for good, not for bad, as how socialism happened to be. First of all, here interfering with this kind of events from the central on the central plateau, you're technically reshaping the planet outside of its natural development. The paradox is that this planet for a longer period of time, I have to notice, at some point when England started, of Elizabeth I started to grow in its political influences and equally backed by America for quite some time in last couple of centuries have become reshaping the entire planetary protocol. With it came much more actually provincial and totally detached from actual long history of building society. That kind of approach of social management of the territories, which hardly can be called even social, become much more like animal psychology driven approach or animal driven psychology, or in animal life in perspective taken, and gardening taken as a gardening of vegetables actually taken as some kind of normative of how to manage planetary population. That is absurd. That is absurd on the planet that does have long history. Planet where the culture, obviously we have to notice now that our civilization reached some kind of peak on certain territories, not peak on this timeline, but peak on some territories. And then geographically, therefore, talking, not time dimension, but geography dimension. And as you move further of that geography dimension, you actually find deteriorated political principles because you find yourself in some kind of civilizational periphery that remain to be in the shadows in times where in the central plateau the civilization was actually reaching its higher point. And now as you go further, you actually go away from the such central points and you find yourself too much on some kind of peripheral positions that take over in a couple of generations technically, take over the throne. They take over the right to planetary leadership, because we talk about imperial movement of capital and power centers, army and the rest. Everything moving on the much more peripheral plateaus where the culture of building society is much more prime, extremely prime. has nothing to do with our ancient psychology, our ancient knowledge or realizations about what means accomplishment in a human protocol. We are today confronted as a planet, and I continue to be surprised that the planet is not moving for an inch or reacting on the fact that today we have to realize and accept that our planet has been managed by extremely provincial psychology of Western society. The entire planet has been managed by extremely provincial psychology of Western societies. Extremely provincial psychology of Western societies, and Donald Trump want to get it even more, want even more out of it. Donald Trump wanted more. He wants it more of it, which I can't understand. And the entire planet is overexcited about it. Serbia out there, governed by Belgrade, of saying Dunum of Irish potato industry, calling Serbia what Serbia is not. Serbia is not in Belgrade. For God's sake, you have to accept that for once. Serbia is not Belgrade. Notice that your Serbia is actually located in South Serbia. Well, South Serbia is much closer to Macedonia than to Belgrade. Yes, we are talking about an entire region here that is not going to be split in political boundaries, because people in all of the historic times of that region have not been exactly split by political boundaries. They live on a certain territory out there in millenniums and millenniums of history of humanity. And someone goes out there to split them in some kind of political boundaries, and then you are different because someone just planted some kind of line out there on the territories, and that is going to line up your mind as well. Well, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Are you not going to notice where is the located Serb intelligence, the basin of Serb intelligence? Are you not going to notice that it's not located in Belgrade? All that you can find in Belgrade is some kind of James Bondian, as a kind of compliment to say about these people, James Bond, and some kind of grotesqueness of some kind of womanizers planted there to simply tear apart anything that looks like a woman or like a gentle being, to just tear it apart like a wolf versus a sheep, to tear apart everything that crawl with any kind of decency in that region is to be teared apart. That is Belgrade defined. Defined. Belgrade defined. So can you please collect that potato industry from our territories, or we should just make ground zero to that unfortunate potato city for all of the times? Yes, potato city. Can you just shut them up, that potato city, for God's sake? Can you just shut it up? Moscow, shut it up as well! The green Moscow of potato, of greenery of the planet. Shut them up. Shut up! Shut up! Now let's return to sanity and let's notice how this world was developing and what defines development. Civilizational development, therefore. Civilizational development. What defines civilizational development in 21st century? Let's find out in a southern mind. How many of you are going to agree that destroying the center of the city is a future promise for the city development? I'm asking here a normal question, and you will get your notebook and in any of the crawling nations of the planet and answer your question for today. How many of you would find destroying center of the city in your capitals, or should I say destroying capital in your state, a way to develop your nation forward? How many? You damn time wasters. Get a damn notebook and answer to a question. How many of you would find logical to destroy center of the city as a matter of the future development of the city. How we found this planet developing? We found it 15 years ago. 15 years, and I'm being convinced that this work belonged with Maoris of New Zealand. That live, most of them, much more on the South Island as well, by the way. Whose idea was that? Potato industry of Belgrade? Or maybe it was your genius idea. Oh, that was the idea of potato industry of Belgrade, situated somewhere in the centers of Ireland. Another, that's centerpiece of the potato industry of philosophy of managing the society. Yeah, they grow potatoes in Ireland. And then they're also managing the world when they have free time. And they have been doing that for quite some time. Yeah. When they find time for it. Otherwise, they're collecting profit out of tax-free Google businesses situated in Ireland, and controlling today, by the way, the entire information technology of the planet. Yes, the Yahoo Google headquarters, which are basically the basis of the entire communication of the planet. If you have not noticed, the centerpiece of these companies is in Ireland, Dublin, which means that people in Dublin are controlling the entire planetary communication of the planet at this very moment. Yes, no, not the puppies in England, no, the one sitting in Dublin. Puppies in England are playing raining day with umbrella, the black one, with the black umbrella. Because obviously no any other kind of umbrella has been invented in England so far. They even don't know that there are umbrellas in different colors. They think that all umbrella comes in England. People think that all of the umbrellas come only in black color. That is the consequence of living in a province and thinking it's not province. When you start looking everything black and you think that there is no any other option, that is the definition of province. Now, how can possibly someone like that at all think that they can rule anyone or anything else when they are obviously failing to rule themselves even? Now that's England defined as we speak. England defined as we speak under black umbrella. Now this combination, that combo, now is going to advise us or to direct us, the rest, what we should be doing on Earth. And here the center of the planet became Belgrade, because when you look at the map and you look Belgrade and you figure out this might be the center of the world actually, because geographically just falls into that category. Yes, but they just can't stop talking that just very, very recently there was a sea there. So basically they find themselves rather situated on the bottom of the sea rather than on the top of the civilization of the planet. Well, I really would not find as the most brilliant answer of the planet someone that spent millenniums on the bottom of the sea, being one of the shells of that sea, to be actually promised to lead the civilization anytime soon. They may just continue counting how many shells are out there on the hills of Belgrade, and then sign on absentees from the central civilizational Renaissance plateau. Just absentee, yes, absent. Reason, slipping under the water like a shell I really don't know how on earth something like that can compete with planetary build-up of history of all of the times, as does the regions with amphitheaters out there. But it's absurd. I'm competing here with shells and with potatoes about the top decision making on the planet, and the potatoes and shells are winning so far. That is absurd. That's unbelievable. Kumara, potato, and shell are winning the planetary top as we speak, and the planet is buying it, and everyone else is buying it. They're just drinking water like a sheep, eating grass like a sheep on daily basis. Sheep continue to be sheep, from China and Japan to Norway to Canada to Philippines to India. To sheep is eating grass, Charlotte. From somewhere out there, from the shells of Belgrade and potatoes of Dublin. And look at them falling apart. Who is going to get McDonald's business on their territory? That's the Earthians of planet Earth. You can serve them anything. And you can sell it as well. Serbia, can we finally agree that real Serbia has nothing to do with Belgrade, but with South Serbia? Point number one. Point number two, at that stage we start talking about the region there, not about republics, because speaking of republics does not make sense when someone speaks millenniums old history. You want to speak millenniums old history, forget about your present political flags, or you're wasting time as a rabbit lost in the forest. And we don't have time to chase rabbits. We are discussing millenniums old historic heritage. We are going to mentally descend ourselves, transcend ourselves in different time zone altogether, and notice everything differently. The structure of genetic formation there, formulation there, formation there would be accordingly built within the millenniums of history. In other words, if we are going to speak about the center of the planet or central ancient plateau, that's not going to be Belgrade, my verdict for today. That's going to be rather basically the territory where, when we speak Mediterranean, the real ancient Mediterranean is happening at the trinity of three seas. Three seas on Mediterranean is actually Ionian Sea or Asian Sea, which is the Greek archipelago, that sea. Then you have Ionian Sea, which is basically the Albanian coast to Adriatic/Mediterranean Sea. And you also have exit to Mediterranean Sea via south part of Greece, Peloponnese, the southeast, and Crete also. Crete is technically on Mediterranean Sea. You have, that is the region with three seas. And if you want, and the reference tree, religious tree, I'm going to believe, it is reference to three seas. Three seas. Now look in English also, when you say see, that also sounds like a verb to see or to be seen. In modern times, rather to be seen, because if you're not being seen, then you're not going to be heard, and if you're not heard and seen, then you're nothing. Unlike in previous times where it was about to see, now it is about to be seen. And that is why Belgrade and potato industries of provinces of, I'm sorry, I may be overdoing it, but I feel sick to my stomach that after 15 years I am on ground zero here, that I need to be categorized together, Dublin of Ireland, to be categorized together with the unrolling tongues of Maoris in Wellington. Well, you're planting potatoes with Google industry in Dublin. One is at this point is going to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. It's nothing personal. I'm just doing my political, cultural, civilizational observations. Plenty is on stake here. Enough is enough. In older times it was about to say. Today it is about to be seen. My entire fight, it is about to be heard and to be seen. To see is not enough anymore. For a longer period of time, to see is not enough. Look, trumpets, what they're doing. It is all about to be seen. Now let's focus on three fingers that are being religiously pointed out there in Orthodox religion. I claim here that is a reference to 3 C's. I'm going to notice these are important, that's important verb, actually, which means important notion, which no one wants to highlight it that much because, well, secret is supposed to be secret, so someone can advance out of it. I'm talking about historic heritage today, not about strategic presence. I'm talking now about historic heritage as a matter of us identifying where is the civilizational center of this planet, in more absolute terms. The 3 C's are therefore Asian Sea, Ionian Sea, and Mediterranean Sea. 3 C's are on Mediterranean, East Mediterranean, rather, or the centerpiece would be Greece, north of it Macedonian Empire, before that Illyrian Empire. That is that part where the stories of Troy, that would be Mediterranean coast on the Turkey side. It's still basically, we talk about that Mediterranean plateau, but that history was happening in that historic time. And where Parthenon and earlier definition of Western approach to governing have been born, actually, where the Western democracy has been born. There's the place of birth, Greece. And very much we have amphitheater, which I especially want to make point out of it. Not Italian amphitheater with gladiators of Roman imperialism, no, not that one, but amphitheaters where philosophers would be sitting in the center of like at universities today, technically, like at universities, and would actually teach or speak mindfulness to the dignitaries of the higher hierarchical members of the society. Also at that time we might talk about to all of the society, because obviously the cities were small, these amphitheaters were quite large. One would say, well, entire city would get there to listen to these people and how they would basically to provide their intelligent perspective to the population. These are the beginnings of how civilization on this planet started to build in some kind of centerpiece of it, and it is nothing to do with looking after the sheep, cows, milking the cow, milking the sheep, making cheese out of it, and so on and so on. We don't have that vocabulary as well in our ancient history, because our ancient history is being consisted, Ireland, of different kind of perspective and different kind of rhetoric. Ireland and West America and Wild America or West America or South America or whatever America, Republican America, civilization of this planet has not been built out of rhetoric, milking a cow and eating grass and making cheese. I'm going to repeat. The centerpiece of the civilization of this earth in all the historic times was not built out of rhetoric, milking the cow. And it's not going to today be awakened with this facility of communication, planetary communication all over the planet, facilitated by scientists as it is Tesla. That technology is not going to be used for someone to promote their milking the cow perspective of building a civilization. New Zealand and the rest of the population of the planet, are we clear on this? Are we clear on this? Can we seal on this that that is not how planetary population was building? The poor people are already ashamed enough when they find me on the street. Someone just continue to use them as a reference. The poor people are beyond their head embarrassed about all of that. But they are certainly not embarrassed while sitting in the board of Fonterra still, continuing to milk the cow as someone is continue to pour in their pockets the money. So Belgrade, I wonder and wonder, you, planetary coplerae, who is pouring the money in the pockets of these people? Or maybe I should ask the coplerae called Moscow. Who is pouring money in wrong pockets in New Zealand? Coplerae Belgrade and Coplerae Moscow. Who is pouring money in wrong pockets in New Zealand as we speak? Coplerae Belgrade and Coplerae Moscow have question to answer. Should I say Coplerae Japan as well? Because that looks like latest Coplerae for sure. Now, can you ask the Coplerae that is shadowing Japan today and killing any decency in that poor country? Can you ask that Coplerae to step aside? Can you ask the Coplerae walking over Japan today to stop buzzing on the planet on account of my work? Can you ask Kennedy's and what was that Belgrade partnership? And that American that speak bad Serbian language. Can you ask them to stop using Japan for all of the rotten, wrong reasons? Can you ask that Coplerae to get the hell out of our sight for good? Can you ask that dirt to get the hell out of our sight for good? Can you ask this planetary dirt to get out of the stage? Artians, can you ask the planetary dirt to get out of civilizational stages of this planet? The centerpiece would be Belgrade and Moscow. Can we ask these centers of planetary dirt to step away from the throne of Earth? Can we find this dirt stepping away from the throne of Earth, please? Therefore, speaking about building of nations in all of the times, I also have to notice that I found my family behind the back. Also, I have been speaking all the time. I'm depicting here the principal imperial plateau, principal bloodlines. There's the centerpiece of a nation. As much as I continue, as I repeat that almost on daily basis, it continued to move in all of the wrong direction because I'm going to assume some kind of Coplerae sitting in Moscow and Belgrade continue to harass the planet with their dirty, disgusting, bad taste and their vulgarized approach to managing the planet. With that kind of vulgarization that is planted all the way to Hollywood, destroying the entire planet and continue to destroy the entire planet. I need to clarify over and over and over again. My family, persons of myself, do not belong on some kind of peripheries of a nation. They cannot be marginalized for the sake of looking after the potatoes of the rest of the nation, which continue to be increasingly robustly numb. Robustly numb artifacts of humanity do not create centerpiece of a nation. You will never get a nation made out of centerpiece of robustly blunt potato level of people. Well, if it is about flickering energy then what sits in the center is the bloodline of the flickering energy, not of the robust, numb potato protocol. Are we clear on this, ladies and gentlemen? So, ladies and gentlemen, you don't marginalize someone as myself and as my bloodline. And then we are going to do it for some kind of Tupagia center. No, it's other way around. Tupagia center is actually defending us, the flickering energy of a nation, which exists as a real centerpiece of a nation. And the one that are today tearing apart the national heritage accounts, like the most creatures, they're not the one that we need to look after. No, they're the one to look after us, the one that are gentle, sensitive, and creative enough, beyond the word creative itself. The one that are creating scientific base as well. They are to be the centerpiece. In other words, my father is not going to be the butcher, because my father is gentle, sensitive engineer. Gentle, sensitive, intelligent engineer does not make butchery of a tupagia of a nation that is blunt, tupagia. I don't know English word, and honestly, I don't give a damn anymore. But I will say what I have to say. My breed does not play defense protocol or butchery for the centerpiece of the potato, of the rest of the potato of the nation. Can you understand my point? Macedonia, Belgrade, and Moscow. We are not going to be your butchers. Belgrade and Moscow, whatever shit making you have been doing in all of this time, and England and Ireland, whatever shit making you have been doing in all of this time, you will now correct it. But I'm not going to be threatened or to hear for another day that you're in any intention to marginalize my family. You, Tupagia number one of the world. You, Tupagia number one of the world. Yes, exactly. Tupagia broj jedan sveta. It's time for a real reform. I will also allow myself noticing that the entire history was not made that much only out of fraternity society. It seems that the biggest secret of 2 millenniums is not talking about women existing on upper houses as well, equally as a man. I have decided to enclose my as the most original recording. This has become soul search. It has become some kind of my own political experiment that I decided to share with you for the sake of authenticity. Certainly sacrificing a lot on some kind of refinement, although I assume my voice is refined enough to remind you each time that this is just act of bravery and maybe some kind of rudeness eventually. Yes, certainly rudeness to trash in your face 2 millenniums of secrets that you have been so successfully in such mode of synchronicity hiding. It's a woman in its most archaic, in its most organic, in its most authentic and equally so solidly built up nature. Solidly build up nature, to trash it in your faces and ask you today, fraternity, a question. Can we really seal today that this civilization of this planet was built only by a man and only by fraternity continuing to entitle itself in some unspoken way as a real owner and dictator of the planetary affairs? Fraternity society that is my question for you. And of course, the very much democratic people on the planet would have equally right to provide their answer to this particular very democratic question.